Welcome to the 3rd and 3, ladies and gentlemen. We got Stingray, we got Clemson Tom. We're not gonna do no intro today because we are live on the CTS Interview Room. We got the internet sensation, the one and only Stingray. Stingray, how you doing today?
Good, man. How about you?
Man, I'm living the dream. And ladies and gentlemen, we got the no filter, no caring, the man who will take on the world. Brock Lesnar, better watch out. He's the one and only Clemson Tom. Clemson, how you doing today?
I ain't taking on no Brock Lesnar. He's got fists like a lunchbox.
I'm just hoping he'll kick your ass. But ladies and
He
gentlemen, I'm
would.
Joe. I'm Joey. I'm representing the Alabama side. You know how we do things. We're gonna talk a little trash. We're gonna talk a little chaos, but we're gonna have a good time. Since we're not doing no intro, Stingray, let's go ahead and take on what's been going on with Texas. Tell the story.
Man, Texas, I tell you what, they are in a world of hurt right now. And I want to get y'all's thoughts on this because obviously the Texas Longhorns lost at home this past weekend for the first time ever to the Kansas Jayhawks. That was the Kansas Jayhawks' first win on the road in Austin in program history. This is also a 5-game losing streak for Texas for the first time. Get this, guys, since 1956, and the Texas Longhorn administration cost their previous head coaching and staff $24 million just for the new staff to come in and lose to Kansas. It is a nightmare out there at Texas. Guys, do y'all think Sark is the guy to finally get it done and turn it around at Texas, or is it a lost cause?
Well, this is one thing that you, me, and Clemson Tom have talked about in previous episodes. You know, Coach O, there's no loyalty in college football right now. You know, Tom Herman, you know, he was 32-18 at Texas, and people crucified him. You know, they got rid of him, and like you said, since 1956, the last time they lost 5 games. But this is Sark's first year as head football coach. First year. So, you know, let's go ahead and give him some time, and let's go ahead and give him some time. Let him, you know, fill out the first year. You know, Nick Saban was 7-5 the first year.
No, 6 and 7.
6 and 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know, let's give him some time. You know, he's a great coach. He coached at USC. He coached where else? Where else did he coach?
Washington.
Washington.
Yeah.
You know, let's give him some time. Let's let him fill out. Now the second year he goes 1-8. By the time this time next year, then it's time to get him gone. Say bye-bye. Go back to Alabama. We kind of need you right now. But that's just my take on it right now. Clemson Tom, what do you got?
There we go. I'm over here. First off, just doing this whole thing live is amazing. I get to eat dinner. I get to drink a cold one and talk sports with you guys live. And it's not edits, everything else. Look, it's going to take some coaches a few years to kind of get developed what they want. Look how long it took Dabo. Ain't nobody complaining now. It just takes time. It just is what it is. But now with social media in the world, everybody wants to get it done first, second, third season. By the 4th season, if you ain't cutting a mustard, they want to fire you. You got to give the guys some time to get his guys in there. You got to develop a culture. I mean, look at Michigan with Harbaugh. They wanted to fire him 2-3 years ago. Now he's having a good year. He's finally got some stuff going. It's like a crock pot, man. You can't just go in there and figure it out in 1 hour that everything's going to be done. You got to give it time. It's a slow cooker. It's like cooking good barbecue. It's going to take some time. This ain't the quick fryer, the air fryer, real quick. No, man. That's what everybody wants now because of social media, instant gratification like this. But nobody wants to hear that because they all want to win a national championship every single year. But it can't happen.
On Facebook, my buddy Chris Gray says it's a lost cause. I don't think it's a lost cause. I think Texas has time to grow. I mean, I think people need to be patient. You know, like it's just like Stingray said. You know, they were 6 and 5 when Nick Saban started. Dabo had a struggle. You know what? give them time. Let them get the recruiting class in. Let them do their thing. And even Tim Brando, when he comes on, he's going to tell you, coaches need time. They need time to figure out. But here's the kicker about this. If Texas is not patient, who are they going for? Now I got some.
Who can they go for though? That's the problem. Who can they go for?
Well, here's the thing. And this is where we're probably going to have a disagreement. I think Texas is going to have to go big time money. I think they're going to have to go
big time money. Who are you going to get big time money for?
I mean, who's going to turn down $20 million a season? I think Texas has got to that point where
they're going to get Urban Meyer. How the lap dancers in Austin?
Listen,
I don't know.
Hear me out. Hear me out on this one. What is it to Texas to go and just make a phone call to a Nick Saban? Well, just a phone call. I'm not saying he's going to do it. I know for a fact he ain't going to do it.
He ain't going to leave.
What is it? What is it to make a phone call and make an offer to Nick Saban?
Not going to happen. It's not good. They're not even going to try to do it. They should call Urban Meyer and get it done. Well,
and what is it?
Urban will go. They'll win them 1 to 2 national championships. He'll leave. They'll get on probation, and then everyone will be happy, and then everyone will be mad. That's the
only thing I'm saying in Clemson, Tom, I'm saying, what is it to make an offer to Nick Saban? I mean, you one time was a salesman. You had to ask.
I sold hopes and dreams, buddy. That's all I did.
Oh, I mean,
and Texas ain't gonna.
You make it sound like I want Nick Saban. I know he.
They're not gonna call him. They're just not.
But what is it to call Jimbo Fisher?
Cool. Then they'll offer him, and he won't take it. Then they're right back to square one. They need to go after someone. They need to make a real coaching hire. That's what they really need to do. And honestly, I think they got the right guy. It's going to take them time. That's it.
I do too. But people are not patient right now. And what is it to go ahead and call the money coach, somebody who has a proven history of just getting up and leaving, say $25 million a season to Lane Kiffin? Lane Kiffin.
They're not going to offer him $25 million.
I mean, they're going to have to do something.
Can they even have $25 million?
It's Texas.
The
government. The government
got $25 million. Do they?
The government caused the state of Texas for a loan. They got more money than any state. And
you know what they need to call? They need to call Tesla. Have them cash out some stocks and then buy the team.
Well, there you go. Let me ask you this though. Here's the kicker. What would happen? Let's say that they give a call to a Mr. Sweeney.
They're not. And even then, he's not going to leave and go to Texas. He's pulled pork. He's not brisket. He can't. The bottom line. He's not going to go. If he leaves for anywhere, everyone knows it's going to be Alabama. And even then, I would love to see the transition going from a Nick Saban to a Dabo Sweeney. That's two completely different personality types. So I'm kind of interested to see if it even does happen. Welcome back, Stingray.
Hey, Sting, how you doing?
And I was trying to share everywhere so that everybody could see this awesome show that we're going to have tonight. And I think that we've talked enough about the Texas Longhorns.
Well, we didn't get your opinion.
So real quick, I want to say congratulations to both Clemson and Alabama for knocking off subpar opponents this weekend. However, my team, the one that I talked about, called the upset right here and on Rolling with the Tide, the Mississippi State Bulldogs absolutely went down to Auburn and pulled off the school's biggest comeback by 25 points and knocked off the Auburn Tigers. Guys, what were your thoughts on the complete choke job by the Auburn Tigers this past Saturday?
First off, I don't watch the Auburn Tigers. However, I'm at a tailgate, and my main man Stingray's texting me updates like it's crazy. So I actually had to change the channel to watch this. Sting, I'm proud of you. You did call it. I don't like Auburn. I don't like the Plainsmen. I don't like the War Eagles. I don't like the Tigers. I don't like what they call themselves each and every week. It's the only team I've ever known that's got 3 mascots. Obviously, Whose dog's barking? Is that your dog?
I have no comment.
That's your dog getting it. Even your dog hates Auburn. I love it.
I have cats, so it's not me, bro.
Well, I'm going to tell you this.
We
You
gotta
know,
get Sting a dog.
with all the turmoil in the country right now, and by the way, after this trial's over and the boy gets acquitted because it was obviously self-defense, I'm pretty confident that the peaceful protests are going to get extra peaceful this week, so everybody stays safe. So with that said, I want everybody out there to know that when Auburn loses, it's good for the country. Okay? You got a quarterback.
Same thing when South Carolina loses. It's good for America. America wins. Just like Ohio State. When Ohio State loses, America wins.
America wins. When Auburn loses, I don't know is the colors. I don't know is the football team. I don't know win or lose. They're going to go in the shower and celebrate no matter what happens. I don't know what it is about Auburn football team, but when they lose, it brings a smile to my face. I'm talking about ear to ear, baby.
Modell I got.
Yeah.
The fans talk so much trash that you still talk about 2013. They still talk about Bo Jackson doing the goal line thing. And nobody cares. Nobody cares.
No, they're like Georgia fans. All Georgia ever has is 1980.
I like Georgia fans more than I like Auburn fans. Georgia fans have always been nice to me. I love Georgia fans. I hope they do win a national championship as long as it's not against Alabama. But with that said, I'm telling you one thing. I'm going to tell you one thing only. When it comes to Auburn losing, I'm happy, and I give a damn about those damn trees. Roll Tide.
So let me ask y'all this, because this is a good segue here. You said you don't necessarily like the trees. Well, a lot of Alabama fans...
I'll piss on those damn trees.
A lot of Alabama fans, after the trip to Starkville this past year and season, were talking about getting rid of the cowbells. Your thoughts on the cowbell tradition in Mississippi State? Should it stay?
Keep it.
Should it go?
You gotta keep it. No, you have to keep it. They've been trying to get rid of the cowbells forever. I knew a girl that once got kicked out of Mississippi State game because she had cowbell earrings, and they said it was too loud, like it was a distraction. Like doing this is just going to make it too noisy. No, keep the cowbells. That's what makes college football great. You got that. You got like the Bull Navy. You got like Clemson running down the hill. You got Alabama playing players more in college than they ever can in the NFL. You got Oregon with 90 different uniforms. Those are all college football traditions. You have to keep it. It is what it is.
Yes.
Yeah. Cynthia Nelson, Saban is 7 years old. That is not going to happen. They need to stick with Sharp. But if they don't, I hope Alabama offers him a deal he can't refuse. Of course, I would like to see him. He did good for Alabama. He stepped in when Lane Kiffin, left, and he did amazing things. So yeah. But I think Texas need to give him an opportunity to, let him figure things out. He's a great coach. I think Texas is going to do great things while they in that conference right there. Now, once they go into the SEC, that's that ass. However, it is what it is. Focus on what
if you want
right
to take
now.
away Mississippi State's cowbell tradition, then you obviously think that Chuck E. Cheese has the best pizza.
Mm-hmm.
You mean that
you just can't make educated decisions.
Chris Gray's back. Auburn plays like this year, but will beat Alabama this year to put Alabama out of the playoffs. Those are not cigarettes you're smoking, Chris. I'm just gonna go ahead and put that out there.
Y'all saw the college football rankings just came out. Ain't there some nonsense?
Yes. Who got number 3? Cincinnati or Alabama?
Neither. Bama's 2.
That's right. Roll Tide. Alabama
is. Your team is
listen.
Suspect.
I'm not going to get in an argument with you today. We're live. Stingray's can't edit. Stingray's not going to be able to edit this year. This time. We're live.
I don't know which is worse, the blinds behind you or your defense.
Don't be talking about my damn blinds. Leave my blinds out of this.
Whatever blinds. You're blind if you
don't talk about my blinds. Look here, you ugly hermaphrodite. I'm telling you something. When it comes right down to it, ladies and gentlemen, guess who's on the line?
Yes,
guess
sir.
Who's here? Guess who's here? Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Tim Brando. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Tim Brando.
Fumble.
Oh,
Tim saw your blinds and the camera fell. You got to get those fixed, man. Don't blame Tim. That's on you.
Oh,
Okay, you got me back now? We okay?
yes, sir. How are you doing, sir?
Good. How are you feeling, Stingray?
I'm doing good, man. And look, I really want to appreciate you doing this.
Well, I had another interview to do for Tagger Rag Radio. I just got off the air with them, and
Yes.
if I'm going to talk to Stingray, I probably need to do it now because next week is Thanksgiving. Pretty soon, football's done. Well, I'm on the hoops, so we better do it now. Okay. Plus, I'm doing Oklahoma State again. So this will be my third Oklahoma State game in 4 weeks, this time with Texas Tech on Saturday night. So a little less prep time given the familiarity with teams I've already had. So this was a good week to do it.
Awesome.
So before we get started, so everybody that's watching at home, this is y'all's show. So call your friends, call your family, tell them to get on. Tim Brando's here. He's going to answer all y'all's questions. But before Stingray got some questions.
Yeah, I'm already into post-dinner bubbly here.
Awesome.
That's what I'm. I want to hear about the college football playoffs. I want to hear about Alabama football. I want to hear about Clemson football sucking. I got a lot of stuff I want to hear about. But first things first, Stingray, Clemson Tom, y'all go at it, and then it's the fans' time.
Yes. Well, Tim, first off, let me say once again, thank you for joining us. And what are your thoughts on the latest rankings in the college football playoffs? And also, do you ultimately think that the playoff system is good for college football?
Well, you know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, this playoff system is a joke. It's a corrupt joke. I didn't even watch tonight because I figure I already know the verdict. Mm-hmm. Nothing changes. I'm sure it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, Ohio State, Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. Unless if I'm wrong on the top 5, you can tell me, but that's what I assume. Michigan State, Michigan behind. Michigan still ahead of Michigan State, even though they lost to them. It's all about the brands. It's all about the brand names. So, and this will continue to be the case until we expand to 12.
Yes.
It's the same old thing. It leaves you with a bad taste in your mouth. I'm so glad that basketball's already begun because it's a place where we can all run to. The sane people out there can run to that.
Yes.
Once we see how corrupt the college football postseason is. I mean, I literally tune it out. I'm not even, like I said, I didn't even watch them tonight. I watched the first one. I got nauseated. And I didn't really watch. The only reason I watched the second one was because it was at halftime of the Duke-Kentucky game.
Yes.
That's the only reason I watched it.
Right.
And then, like I said, it's predictable from this point forward. They'll ask the same questions. Dave Barta will give the same canned responses. They'll tell you it's all situational ethics. I mean, it's all situational ethics. Until they go to 12, we still have the worst postseason in organized sports. Yes. Simple as that.
Tim, I don't think I've ever agreed with someone so strongly in my life. I think we just became best friends. Like hearing you talk, I was like, holy crap. Like that's, I say that every single day, man.
I think those guys in Bristol that are having to do that show should be awarded a Purple Heart to have to do that crap every week. Ask those same questions and get those same, canned responses. But, it is what they have to do. And I guess if I were in their shoes, I'd have to do the same thing. But I would go kicking and screaming. I would be like, what? I probably wouldn't last long. They would be writing my paper, sending me the pink slip pretty quickly.
Yes.
I just, it's you can't defend it anymore. And they don't even try to defend it. The committee, they don't even try to defend it. They look at you and then they tell you how much they really care about Cincinnati. They're deeply involved and really have looked at everything, like as they're throwing them under the bus. Mm-hmm. We know why Oregon is where they are, only because they need Oregon to be there to prop up Ohio State, which doesn't deserve to be number 4.
Right.
I mean, there are countless other.
You did wait? Did you just say Ohio State doesn't deserve to be there?
Cincinnati issue.
Yes.
What?
You said Ohio State doesn't deserve to be there?
No.
Yeah, say it again. Say it again.
4? Were they at number 4? No, they don't deserve.
No, they don't. Say it again for the people in the back. I love it.
No, they do not deserve to be number 4. Okay.
You're like a Southern preacher right now. Pass it off and play. I love it.
I mean, I saw them struggle against Tulsa.
Right.
I had that game. Week 3 was right after the disaster against Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And Tulsa, people would, these same people on the committee that were dissing Cincinnati, ranking them 6th because of the way they played against Tulsa. Okay. Well, I saw Tulsa down by 4 with 10 minutes to play in Columbus.
Yes.
It didn't hurt Ohio State that they sucked against Tulsa.
Right.
But it hurt Cincinnati. Okay, so tell me how that works. Okay. Ohio State is one of the pure playoff privileged.
Mm-hmm.
They are the Alabama of the North.
Yeah.
They can lose a game and not fall very far. And the best, the first opportunity they get, they're going to prop them back up. Mm-hmm. And Oregon's got one of the worst losses in college football this year. They lost to a bad Stanford team. I mean, a bad Stanford team. And they're number 3 in the country. They haven't done, since beating Ohio State at Ohio State, which I guess was at the time the best road win anybody had. Cincinnati had not beaten Notre Dame at Notre Dame yet. But knowing what we know now about Ohio State's defense, and by the way, Ohio State may have won big against Purdue, but did they not give up 31?
Yes.
I mean, that defense is still a mess. It's not ready for prime time. But again, the committee is going to prop up the brand names.
Yes.
Okay. Clemson's gone, so you got to have Ohio State, and you got to have Alabama, and you got to have Georgia, and that 4th team. Oklahoma would have been that team because they're a brand. I'm afraid Oklahoma State, even though they're far better than Oklahoma and the most complete team in the Big 12, that one loss to Iowa State, even if they run the table from this point forward, it probably won't be enough.
Right.
Because they're not Oklahoma. They're Oklahoma State. Okay,
Yes.
It's like Michigan and Michigan State. It's pathetic.
Well, let's turn our attention to the state that you live in. I got a 2-part question for you. One, are you surprised that LSU made the decision to go against Coach O and let him go? And part 2, what are you hearing about his replacement down there on the Bayou?
Well, if you follow me on Twitter, on Saturday, I just said, okay, here are the 3 calls. Mm-hmm. If I'm Scott Woodward, I make first, okay, and I put Jimbo Fisher at the top of that list. Now, I didn't say that Jimbo would go. I just said that's the first call. Mm-hmm. Well, A&M fans kind of feel like, I'm driving the engine to get their guy out of there.
Yes.
No, I never said he would take it, but I do think that Scott Woodward is going to doggedly go after him. Mm-hmm. And Jimbo is making all these pronouncements, but he's not saying specifically, no, I would not go to LSU, and no, I would not take a call from Scott Woodward.
Right.
And he's not going to do that because his agent, Jimmy Sexton, is handling that. All right. So there will be no direct conversation with anybody until the season is over. These guys are still coaching. Mm-hmm. And there is a matter of ethics here. Right now, it's the bat blank crazy season of the coaching carousel.
Right.
Okay. Fill in the bat blank.
Yes.
And you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So the coach can deny because he's not talking. The agent is. And he can tell all the people, I don't know how much plainer I can make it. I love the AD. I love the president. I got a ranch here. My wife loves it. My kids love it. Everybody loves it. Blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
But have you taken the call, and would you take a call from LSU? He's not going to answer that question.
Right.
That's a non-denial denial. So that's the first call, I believe, from LSU's perspective. Right. That's who they want. They've been wanting him. They're targeting him. The major money players down there want him. And he can also say, well, I got to be the dumbest guy in the world. I'm recruiting all these guys. They just got the Moss kid out of Baton Rouge to sign to A&M. And these people are going, did you see that? Did you see that? And I'm like, 2 words: transfer portal.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, come on. Are you guys
Mr.
living in a
Brando.
fog? Are you guys living in a fog?
Right.
Everything can change like that. It's the wild, wild west out there.
Yes.
So, what's going on now has nothing to do with what's going to be going on when the season's over and we're getting close to, January, February. These guys can move whenever they want to move. None of these commitments are binding. And even if they are, 2 words: transfer portal.
Yes.
So,
Mr.
Not all of this is just wild speculation. I mean, that's all it is.
Yes.
And the second call to me is Aranda, who may be getting courted really well by USC more so than LSU.
Yeah.
But I think Aranda is going to be the second call. And I think the third call is to Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
I think James would be movable, and that one might happen. And I think that I think Billy Napier at Lafayette with the Raging Cajuns, he really wants the job.
Mm-hmm.
And I frankly believe he makes a lot of sense. But there are a lot of condescending snobs in Baton Rouge, just like there are in a lot of other college towns, that think a guy from Lafayette cannot coach at our place. We're too elite. We're too big for that. Well, that's garbage too. They need to shut their bayou pie holes and understand that this guy could coach anywhere in the country if he wanted.
Yes.
But you've got a certain segment of that kind of fan base at every major school in the country.
Right.
Mr. Brando, I got a question from one of our very own from the CTS Interview Room. One more Sanchez. He wants to know off of the Stingray's Facebook, question for Tim: what coach did you enjoy interviewing the most?
Oh wow, there's a lot of them. I'll give you 2, obviously, because I've got basketball in mind. 2 coaches I was closest to that I really always loved talking to were Bobby Bowden in football. The late Bobby Bowden was just the best. Not a finer human being to ever coach college football. He's certainly on my Mount Rushmore for all-time greats, and a better person than he was a coach, which should tell you something. And Daddy Dale at LSU in basketball, he's been like a surrogate father to me. We finally, Stingray, we got it done. We're getting that name on the floor at the PMAC, dedicated to him on January 4th when LSU plays Kentucky. It took a while, got a little heated down there a few times in front of the LSU Board of Supervisors, but we got it done.
Yes.
This is a follow-up question. You may be a little young for this, but did you ever meet Bear Bryant?
Oh, God, yes. My first year in Baton Rouge was 1979. Charlie McClendon was in his final year at LSU. Paul Dietzel was the athletic director who had been the head coach, and Mack was the defensive coordinator when they won the national title with Billy Cannon in '58. I was only 2 then. But I did get to know Coach Mack. Was the first program I covered. I was a cub reporter at a 1,000-watt radio station in Baton Rouge. And I did my first evening nightly sports talk show there in 1979. And I'll never forget, Coach Bryant was coming in during the Skyriders tour, which was before they had SEC Media Days. They had a thing called Skyriders where the riders would come around and interview the coaches. And I'll never forget, I was able to hop on one, and a couple of friends of mine were riders, and I snuck onto the plane, and I got to visit with Coach Bryant, and then I interviewed him before Coach McClendon's last game. And I had him with my little cassette recorder. So we were in a one-on-one situation. I was 23 years old. And I remember asking him about the game and the upcoming bowl season. And he answered the question in such a tone, that kind of talking like that. I really couldn't understand his answer. But I was so intimidated by his aura, just his presence. He was a big guy, was wearing a long jacket and kind of searing down at me. And I'm a pretty tall guy. I'm 6'2", but I was kind of looking up at him, and I didn't really understand all that he said because he was mumbling a little bit. He was getting up in years in 1979. He passed away in '82. Mm-hmm. And I said, Coach, from what I understand there, you're talking about the bowl season. I heard you say Florida. I heard you say Georgia. I heard Coach Mack in the Tangerine Bowl, LSU. I said, what about Auburn? And he looked at me and he said, son, you're going to have to put that microphone down. And I said, okay, I put the microphone down. He looked at me and he went, blank Auburn. He did. He said that to me, blank Auburn. So that was the way the interview ended. But he was a wonderful man, and I enjoyed talking to him. And I was probably the only time I was ever a little bit intimidated was because he was Bear Bryant. You know,
Yes.
He was bigger than. I mean, it was at that time too. I was only 23. It was by far and away the first legend that I was talking to as a head football coach. And when I say that, he said it with a smile on his face. He was being funny. You know, he was. I don't want people to think he was being dismissive or mean-spirited. He wasn't. He was playing to his persona, so to speak, with me, and he wasn't going to say it with the microphone in his face.
Right. Tom?
I just found out tonight that you were best friends with Larry the Cable Guy. And
we're really good friends, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the two backgrounds, the two histories, it doesn't seem like how you guys have aligned. So how did you guys become such real good friends?
I was doing my radio show at the Super Bowl in Indianapolis. I'm trying to remember who played in that one. But I was doing the Tim Brando show on CBS Sports Network when it was televised and on Sirius XM at that time. And we were at the convention center in Indy doing our show. And maybe not the convention center. It could have been in that really big hotel that the Westin there. I think that may have been it. But we were doing our show. And as always the case when you're at a Super Bowl, they're just bringing big name after big name after big name in to be interviewed. You just don't know who you're going to get. And when Patrick Netherton, who worked with me, who was kind of my Mr. Know-It-All, used to do our updates on the show, he started talking to Dan Whitney. Dan is his real name. Dan Whitney is Larry the Cable Guy's real name. He started talking to him, prepping him to come on the show, and he said, Tim, he's a big fan of yours. And I went, oh. So I said, cool, come on. And we started talking just before I put him on the air. And I want to say there was name the great Alabama nose tackle from, oh, God, it must have been like 2009 or 10. It was a first-round draft pick.
It wasn't Terrence Cody?
I don't think it was Cody.
Okay.
But it was I want to say that the kid went to Buffalo.
Okay.
I can't remember, but it just so happened that we got double booked. So Larry's there, the kid from Alabama, it's a first-round pick. He's coming in. And then out of nowhere, this is one of those wild moments that can only happen at the Super Bowl. The CBS publicist came walking up with Bob Schieffer, the former host of the Sunday morning CBS News show, Meet the Press. Well, not Meet the Press. What is it? Hang on. What's the one on CBS called? Meet the Press, I think, is NBC. CBS is Sunday morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Sunday morning.
No, that's not his show. His show is more of a he was more the political show. Face the Nation.
Face the Nation.
That's what it was. Face the Nation. Anyway, Bob Schieffer was a TCU guy and someone I really looked up to. I had friends that had gone to school there. You know, Shreveport's not far from Fort Worth. So now I got Larry the Cable Guy, this first round pick that was a defensive tackle at Alabama, and Larry the Cable Guy, and I've got like about 15 minutes in this segment to make this thing work. I mean, literally, the kid from Alabama didn't know who Bob Schieffer was. And Bob Schieffer knew the kid from Alabama.
Right.
But Larry the Cable Guy knew both of them, and they weren't sure how this was going to work. And I said, well, we'll make it work. So I hopscotched around, did all this stuff. The show ended, and Dan Whitney, who's is Larry's real name, he said, man, give me your card. We need to get together. I'd love to be on your show sometime, just you and me, because I can't believe you pulled that off. And I was like, neither can I. You take the interviews when you can get them, because they were all it's like it's like being at a bus stop. They're making stop after stop, doing all these different obligations for the whatever they're promoting.
Yes.
And so he and I became real good buddies. And whenever we do a Nebraska game, we go to his house, his compound, just outside Lincoln, the night before the game, and have a blast. And he's actually come on the road with us for a couple of Nebraska games. He came up to Ann Arbor and visited. In fact, the Sklar brothers, who are big Michigan guys, the guys that used to do Cheap Seats on ESPN, the Sklar brothers are also buddies of mine. And I went to their show, and they were telling me about knowing Dan before he became Larry the Cable Guy. You get to meet a lot of different people when you're in this role that I'm in, and some of them become lifelong friends. And usually it's the entertainment people that are big sports fans, or news people that are big sports fans. And then when they find out that I'm a fan of theirs, then we've got a lot of different things that we can share. So that's a good question.
We got a fan. The one in the back question is, any funny on the field stories?
Funny on the field stories. Well, I have to think about that one. I'm sure there are, but I'd have to think about it.
Clemson, Tom, you remember the time you went streaking?
I can tell you one.
I did not go streaking.
I can tell you one. This is an SEC.
Panama City Beach, spring break. Who cares?
This is an SEC one. It's 1986. I'm the sideline reporter / host for CFA College Football on ESPN. We're doing Auburn and Georgia. Georgia's without their starting quarterback. I think either his grandmother's, someone was deathly ill and he couldn't make the game. And Auburn was number 1 in the country, and we're loaded. Had that team with Lawyer Tillman and all those guys. And Georgia went in with, I think, 2 losses already and beat them. And when the game was over, the Georgia people are flooding onto the field at Auburn, and they're pulling at the Auburn logo at the 50-yard line, pulling out grass and stuff. And I'm interviewing Vince Dooley, not knowing that 3 years later he and I would be working college football games together. I'm interviewing him, and the fans all around us and stuff. And he looks at me like, he's a little scared, because there's people coming from every direction. There's a few liquor bottles flying into the air. I didn't know this until I got through with the interview. I turned and I look, Coach, I'll let you, I'll let you go. Take care. I turn around, and these fans are now, they've turned on the sprinkler system at Auburn, and to get the Georgia fans off.
I remember this.
And I am hauling my butt to the tunnel to get. My wife was actually in the TV truck, the ESPN truck. We were on the trip together. We were staying at a little Best Western hotel in Opelika, and we had to get a police escort to get out of there. But as I'm running, I'm literally seeing old number 7 bottles flying by my ears. It was like, oh my God, because the Auburn fans got all pissed off because they opened the water on them, But the Auburn people were like, hey man, you can't do that to our field. You can't be. We still have games to play.
Auburn fans, they're just a bunch of crybabies. You got to forgive them.
I will say this, Tim.
That was a wild one.
I got 2 things for you. Especially you talked about Indianapolis, and I've traveled and I've eaten at all these random spots supposed to be the best. Did you eat at St. Elmo Steakhouse?
Yeah, but I got to tell you that it's overrated.
But did you have the shrimp cocktail?
Oh yeah, you got to have that.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm still sweating. I just think about that.
You have to have it. Yeah. But there are far better places than that to eat.
I will agree.
Once you've been there, okay.
You have to have the shrimp cocktail.
Yeah, you do. But I would tell you, for my money, I stay at the hotel that's where the NBA teams all stay. I can't remember the name of it off the top. Oh, the Conrad, and it's part of the Hilton chain, and they've got a Capitol Grill there. I would eat the baby lamb chops. I mean, I would eat those. They got the best baby lamb chops on the planet. You'd have to go to New York to get lamb chops better than they have. But yes, I have done that. And if you go there and you don't have the shrimp cocktail, you're out of your mind. You got to.
Yeah, that was my whole draw to go there. I thought it was kind of an average restaurant. The shrimp cocktail.
Yeah, the steak itself is just not overrated. You know, it is. It's like telling somebody that's not been to New Orleans, you know, you got to go to Commander's Palace. But is Commander's Palace the best place to eat? Yeah, probably not. You know what I mean?
I'm going to be that guy. You've been in the game for a very long time, and you're still in your prime. What is that? Oh, wait, I only state the facts. That's what they know me for. I only state the facts. What is the one coach in the history of your career that you dread talking to?
Oh, man. Let's see.
Mine would be Lane Kiffin.
I want to hear this one.
No, actually, Lane is.
Yeah, I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
No, I hear what you're saying. There were some guys that it was not going to be fun. You knew it was going to be. I actually had a love-hate relationship with Bob Knight. He could be as charming as a guy could possibly be. But then the next time you see him can be a complete horse's ass.
You got any Bob Knight stories?
It was I got thrown out of his practice once for just showing
He's like,
up.
yeah, I got some. Bob Knight's like that buddy in college that always got out of line. Like, yeah, I got some good stories.
Your SID said that the practice was open, and he says, "Well, it's not. Get the hell out of here." And I was like, you know, I'm still pretty young in the business. I was probably 31 or 32. He's trying to intimidate me like he intimidates his players. And I said, I looked at him and I said, "Coach, why do you think I'd want to stay here?" You know, after that. Brando, you just get your ass. And I said, "That's not a problem. You're going to run the same damn crap anyway. I don't learn anything at your practice." And then I walked out.
Did y'all square up after that?
The next night, I was mad. I was hopping mad. I went back to the hotel, and Vital was in the lobby. And, you know, he loved the general. You know, he said, "Timmy B, we got the general in Michigan." I'm like, general my ass, okay? He's your general. He's not mine, okay? He just threw me out of his practice to impress his players. Screw him. And he was like, "Oh, Timmy, he's just testing you, baby. You watch tomorrow night. He'll walk by us. He'll pat you on the butt. He was just giving you a test." I said, "Well, test this, okay? I don't give a damn what he does, all right? Okay, I don't care what he does. He's no better than me, you know." But, I mean, sure enough, we go out to do the on-camera before the game starts. And it just so happened that we're on the same side as the coaches. That's not usually the case. But in Bloomington, we were. And he walks right past us as we're going on the air on Big Monday. And has his, you know, his rolled up. You know, he used to always take his program and, you know, roll it up like John Wooden, you know, always like that. Like, and he takes it and he, you know, slaps me on the butt with it. And we get through with the on camera, and Vital says, "Did you see that? I told you, Bobby, the general, he loves you, man." I said, "Yeah, because what? Because I was a jerk back then?" "That's right, baby." Yeah, and he may have been right. I don't know. Maybe he wanted to see how I'd react. But, yeah, those things happen. As far as coaches I just never really wanted to talk to, that's a hard one. I think maybe when and this was, again, very early days, the older coaches from, you know, there were legends when Bryant was still coaching, and then into the 80s, you know, like Paterno, Schembechler, you know, that era. Bo Schembechler was one of the nicest, most congenial guys, but he didn't want anybody to know that. You know, he wanted to be tough and gruff. So he would be like, "I really don't want to talk to you. When do you need to talk?" You know? But he was really a good guy. So I saw you the show. I like your show. I watched your show. when do you want to do this? I really don't want to do it. When do you want to do it? You know, he was like that. Paterno was always nice. I didn't have a really negative, what I'd call negative experience with any coach. I think some were disingenuous, and I always remembered that, like wouldn't tell me the truth, and I knew they were lying.
Yes.
But I let it happen. I never really called them on it. But you find out very early, who the good guys are. A lot of them will test you early. Like I'll give you an example. When I first met Jackie Sherrill, Jackie could be a little intimidating when he was coaching at Pitt and then at A&M. And those were in my earliest days. When he got to Mississippi State, we were fast friends. And I think the reason for that was Jackie knew that I knew. And I think a lot of the coaches, when it comes to media, whether they're guys calling the games or guys that are on the sidelines, whatever, they want to know that they can trust that guy. And Jackie was one of those kind of guys. He wanted to make sure that that you were trustworthy. He was that way. I think Switzer was a little bit that way. Barry was that way. But I became fast friends with both of them.
I got one more question. You met so many legendary coaches, legendary players. You've seen them all. You've been around them all. But you brought up Joe Paterno. What was he like?
Very difficult to get to.
Really?
You would have to go through. Yes, very difficult access.
What did he do? Run away from you?
Was just a little bit aloof. He used his sports information director as a shield. It was like a human shield. And I'll never forget. I got a call. We were doing Penn State, West Virginia, and Major Harris was playing for West Virginia back then. And I'm going to call the game with Vince Dooley, and I remember his SID, Bud Tallman. Bud Tallman had also been at Navy. He had also been in the NFL and worked with the Patriots. And I said, Bud, I really want to talk to Joe before the game down on the field. We'd like to do an interview with him for our guys back in the studio. And it was like, well, I don't know if he'll do it or not. Well, as it turns out, I get a call when we were in Morgantown, and Penn State staying in some hotel about 30 miles outside of Morgantown. And I get a call from Thalman, and he says, Tim, this is going to sound crazy. He says, but I can get you Joe for your pregame if you will go and do his brother George's radio show on Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. I went, what? He said, yeah, George is doing his radio show, his brother George. And if you can do it, I'll be able to. It was like he was bartering, I said, okay, well, I'll do it. So I drive to this hotel where the team was staying, did the interview, and then I got there for the pregame, and Joe came over, and he couldn't have been nicer. But it was like I had to do all that to earn his trust to get the interview. So, it was like we were fur trading or something, I'll do something for you, but you do something for me. Yes. That kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, Tim, let me be the first to say, because earlier this summer, you were inducted into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Let me just say, congratulations. And
Thank you.
Last time that you and I talked, you were actually about to do that. Please walk us through that experience and what that means to you, sir.
Well, it was it wasn't something that I really when I was first told about it or knew I was on the ballot. I wasn't that enthusiastic about it because I kind of felt like, well, you start getting into halls of fame when people think you're rounding third and headed home.
Right.
But this is the twilight of your career. I still believe I've got a lot of wood to chop, and that as your colleague there said, I'm in my prime. I think I'm doing my best work now, and I still think my best games to call are in front of me.
Yes.
but they said to me, no, Tim, we're not just putting you in as a distinguished journalist or the Dave Dixon Award, which is given out to somebody who really promotes the state. They said, we're going to give you the first ever Ambassadors Award.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going to give out this award annually. With the award comes entry into the Hall of Fame, but you'll be the only recipient of this award until somebody else like you comes along.
Mm-hmm.
And that really made me think. That basically what they were saying was that nobody in my business in the state of Louisiana had accomplished, to the extent that I had accomplished, greatness in sports broadcasting. And that really made me think. And it also made me think, they said, part of this award is you've been promoting the state of Louisiana in a manner that no other person with that platform has been promoted. And that made me think, as a native Louisianian, and my father was in the entertainment and media business as well when he was coming up. That really made me think. And to think that I'm the current recipient until somebody else like me comes along, Tim Brando 2.0, whoever that is, he or she, really was flattering. And so I then became pretty enthusiastic about it.
Yes.
And when the night came around, and it just so happened that we were at a point when COVID had really backed off, Louisiana had waited. They wanted us to get the full treatment. So we actually didn't get inducted. I was the 2020 class. Like you said, Stingray, I didn't get in until July of 21. So everybody was a good night. Place was full. And the people that came from all walks of my life, plus my family,
yes,
really was incredible. I was really blown away by a couple of my teammates that I played ball with in high school. I had 3 really close friends that I played ball with that were scholarship athletes. And 2 of them went to school at Northwestern State, which is in Natchitoches, the Northwestern State Demons of the Southland Conference. And one lives in McKinney, Texas, and the other one lives here. And we went through middle school, high school, all the way through to college, and we were teammates. And my other teammate that couldn't be there was a guy that was maybe our best athlete, and he died of pancreatic cancer when he was only 45. And he was a quarterback at Louisiana Tech. And I stayed at his house when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. We had, sleepovers at each other's houses and stuff. We grew up 2 or 3 blocks apart. But, these are guys that are friends of mine, but I don't talk to them regularly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have each other. They might, on occasion, text me from a football game that I'm calling, and they say, hey, man, just caught you. You're doing Texas, and that was a pretty good game. I just had to let you know, man, you're sounding good. That one of those kind of deals. We're not real close friends any longer, right?
Yes.
Well, we became close friends again after that. My high school baseball coach was with me, and he was sitting at our table, and they wanted to see him too. And so I got a message that they were both coming. Well, I had not invited them. I had not. Now, they found out it was going to be at their old school. That's where the Hall of Fame in Louisiana is, at Northwestern State in Natchitoches. It's a beautiful Hall of Fame, one of the best ever you'll visit. And then to see all the other Hall of Fame members, people going in, like Louis Dunbar of the Harlem Globetrotters was in my class. Charles Peanut Tillman of the Chicago Bears fame, past NFL Man of the Year, the Walter Payton Award winner. He's in my class. These are guys that I, to be teammates was amazing. But for those guys to show up and on their own nickel and come and just to celebrate, my career and my family and whatnot, that really got to me. And it sort of was refreshing to think that we still have people like that in our midst, that people will do things like that for those that they grew up with, that they remember fondly, and when it really makes you reflect in so many ways about how fortunate, we've been.
Yes.
And they ran a video of video highlights of my career, and Coach Brown was on there a lot, talking about dealing with young Timmy B. And that was pretty cool. Spencer was there with me. You know, Tillman was not. Spencer wasn't going to miss it, and so it just was a blessing and a night I'll never forget. There may be some future halls of fame that I go in, but there won't be one like the one at home. You know, and usually the people that are last to recognize accomplishments are usually the ones closest to you. You know, and in this case, to be recognized this soon by people that are this close to me geographically and have known me for such a long time, but to do it this quickly was pretty incredible. You know, so I have great feelings about it, and it always will. I appreciate you asking about it.
And one final quick question here. When I last talked to you as well, you were working on your own book called On Brando. Really quickly, can you kind of give us an update about when that will be finished and where we can purchase it?
Well, it'll be about another year and a half, maybe. I'm going to get really into it this off season after basketball. I put the outline together, but I've not started my dictation yet. I'm getting some help on it.
Okay.
And if you guys get a chance, there are a couple of books that I have endorsed that will give you an indication of the kind of book that that I have in mind. An author by the name of Rich Podolsky. He's written a lot of books. He wrote a book about Neil Sedaka. He wrote a book about Don Kirshner of Don Kirshner's Rock Concert, who put together shows that go back to my generation. There used to be on ABC every Friday night, Don Kirshner's Rock Concert in the 70s. He wrote a book about him. He was the original writer for the NFL Today when the NFL Today first came on the air in 1975. Rich worked with Brent and Phyllis and Irv and the Greek. And he's written a book now called You Are Looking Live. It's number one. It's the number one sports book on Amazon right now. And I wrote a little blurb for it. Chris Fowler wrote a blurb for it on the back of it. It's only about 280 pages, but it's like if you love football and you love television, it's just must read. It'll take you back. I mean, I grew up watching it. You know, I was just starting college in 1975. And right out of high school, I'd already been calling high school football games on the radio with my dad for 4 years at that point. So I was really into everything that was sports on TV. And the book is so good and so real. And then Rich, who was also roommates, believe it or not, when he was at CBS with Beano Cook. Beano was a publicist at CBS before he went to ABC and then later to ESPN. Beano, God rest his soul, was working on a book when he died in 2012. And he had a young man that was working with him by the name of John Lucas. John's out of Pittsburgh, was a Pitt kid, and that was Beano's school. That's where he was a sports information director. And it was an incredible time. And he's finished off the book for Beano. And the name of the book is Haven't They Suffered Enough? Which was the line Beano said upon learning that the commissioner of baseball was going to give the Iran hostages lifetime passes to Major League Baseball games. When Beano learned of that in 1980, he turned to his friends and he said, "Lifetime passes to Major League Baseball?" They said, "Yeah. Haven't they suffered enough?" Those two books, I was very involved in the second one with Beano, because he writes a lot about the earliest days of College Game Day, how Game Day got started at ESPN, and even the books that have been written about ESPN have really overlooked the 80s. They really haven't paid much attention. Even James Miller's book on Those Guys Have All the Fun really didn't spend a lot of time on the formation of College Game Day. This book from Beano is worth a read. You'd really love it. He cuts right to the chase, talking about really everybody, good, bad, and indifferent. but it's real. It's almost like Beano is talking to you. If you
Yes.
grew up on Beano Cook, it's like when you're reading it, it's his voice that's talking to you. That's the kind of book I want to put together. This is kind of Timmy B telling you about the choices that are good to make, not so good to make. If you had it to do over again, you might have done this or that differently. And then the things that you really loved about the journey, the path that you were on, and the decisions you had to make while you were on that path. That's why I'm calling it On Brando, because
Yes.
I've made a lot of, my career hasn't been a 30-year career at one place. I spent 9 years at ESPN. I spent 18 years at CBS. I'm now in my 8th year at Fox, and I also had 3 years at Turner. In between the stop at ESPN and the move to CBS, I went to Turner. So when you think about it in those terms, my career path was unique.
Yes.
And there were highs and there were lows. And reinventing yourself, not everybody has to do that, but I sort of did.
Yes.
And so hopefully that'll help a lot of younger guys coming up in our business. That's the idea, is to be someone that can be a little bit of a guide for the things that can happen that you can't control, and the things that you can control. So, and by the way, On Brando means I've never been turned off.
Yeah.
We honestly hope that Stingray is the next Tim Brando.
When you write my epitaph, you say somebody at my tombstone would say, "Here lies a man who could only be turned off in death."
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Tim, Mr. Brando, we've been doing
fine.
this. Mr. Tim, Tim.
We call him Mr. Stingray though, so he's used to.
Yeah, he's the celebrity. We've been doing this CTS interview room since maybe August, and Stingray's been with us for a year, and Clemson Tom's been with us for about 6 months now. And I gotta say, since I've been doing this, I've interviewed Jeremiah Castile, Reggie Ragland, Eric Bischoff, Bill Engvall.
He's one of my favorites. He's one of my real favorites.
Stingray
he's part of that blue collar tour.
Yeah, Stingray will tell you a story offline about that. But with that said, this one right here, Andrew Zhao, don't forget Andrew Zhao. This interview right here means a lot to me. I've always wanted to meet you. You've always been one of my favorite broadcasters. You are the sound of college football to me. You are the sound of sports to me. And it was a complete honor for you to come on and talk with us. I will never forget this day. And thank you, Stingray, for making this happen, because this was all Stingray. And I'm going to put you on the spot right now. Will you come back?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I thought I was going to tell you no. If you are ever in Orlando, you and I are going out to the steakhouse. We both love steakhouses. We're going.
Help me out. You're a big Alabama guy, right?
Yes, sir.
No, he is.
Well, then all you need to do, what you found out tonight is, despite what you read on social media, I never hated Alabama. I love Alabama. I think I got some of my best friends are in Alabama. And I can tell you that state, more than any other state, every town in Alabama that has, let's say, 10,000 people in it, maybe even 5, 5 to 10. Every town that's got 5 to 10,000 people in it has a Monday either lunch club or Monday night club where they bring speakers in.
Yes.
I hit them all in my earliest days. I went to Muscle Shoals. I went to Gadsden. I went to, you name the thing. I went to every town in Alabama, literally. Right. I spoke at them. And the reverence and the love that they have, not just for Alabama football, but all football, and especially all SEC football.
No, not all SEC football. There's one team we don't.
It's a love-hate thing. You know what I'm saying?
It's not love. I promise you, it's no love.
Yeah, but the passion. I tell people, you're passionate about your team. I'm passionate about the game. The sport. And so we have more in common than we don't have in common. Is my point. So you just pass that along to all your your Alabama dissenters of Timmy B. Okay,
Yeah.
just let them know that we're more alike than not.
They will see it, ladies and gentlemen. The one and only, the legendary, the icon, the man, the myth, the legend, Tim Brando. Tim, thank you for coming on.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all. Really appreciate it.
When you come to Orlando, hit me up.
Have a great Thanksgiving.
I'm taking you out.
You too, man. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Well, that was an adventure.
Did he take a breath?
That was awesome, my friend. We really want to thank Timmy B for coming on.
Yeah, he was awesome.
And we did it live. You know, we didn't get a lot of questions from the fans, but you know what? It's Clemson Tom, Stingray, and I, we didn't mind because, damn it, we got to talk to a legend. And
yes.
Thank you, Tim, for coming on. But before we go, because Clemson Tom's got a lot more alcohol to drink. Stingray's
I got spelling words to go over, dude.
Stingray's got to go count his money, and I got to go get yelled at by the wife. So before we go, we want to tell, while we're live, we want to tell everyone what you can expect from the CTS Interview Room. First video up, Stingray, go ahead and play it.
Just a second, bro. Gotta load it. There.
We got homework to do.
Wait, put it. Whoa.
There we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2 weeks from now, December 2nd, Vince Papala, the real life Invincible guy from the Disney Invincible, he's going to come. Play it again one more time, please. The real life guy, Vince Papala, is coming to the CTS Interview Room. You get to come on. We're going to talk live. You get to ask all the questions. Vince Papala from the Disney's movie Invincible. So check it out December 2nd. It's going to Clemson Tom can't wait. He's coming. He's going to ask so many damn questions. Not going to be funny. My arch nemesis is right here. He's going to be clowning.
We got spelling words to do. We got to learn about the states.
The next show is next week. The rivalry show. Yes, Clemson, South Carolina, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Alabama, and that punk ass team Auburn. It's going to be the rivalry week. We're going to have 6 players from each team come, and they're going to tell you what it's like to play in this game. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. CTS, home of the SEC, ACC, all NCAA sports. We are the Kings. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter. Ladies and gentlemen, the legendary internet sensation Stingray, Little Clemson Tom,
your favorite golfer. Tom. Yeah, that's your favorite golfer. Don't forget your favorite golfer.
I said Little Clemson Tom.
Your favorite golfer.
Follow me on Instagram.
And Xander's my favorite golfer. There we go.
Follow him on Instagram, apparently, at the Xander Wilson. He's got an Instagram, Xander Wilson, XANDR Wilson. Look at Stingray.
One more thing before we go.
What?
Stingray show coming this month. Check it out. Best show on Facebook besides CTS. We're number 2. Stingray show is number 1.
Honestly, Stingray show is better than ours. Let's call it what it is.
Let's just cut the shit. Ladies and gentlemen, we out CTS, and catch y'all next time. Next week, rivalry week.